Hey, my name is Calvin,
My name is Kevin.
And I'm Jules.
and this is Martial Art Mindset, and we're excited to have Jules here.
Thanks. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes, incredible martial artist. I've gotten to shoot some stuff with you, and
This is actually the first night that I'm meeting her, so nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't have to do your exercises earlier. You have to see it in the portrait. So
Workout. But I mean, we had prior history.
Oh.
It was only fair for it to be.
that I was tortured.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll do the next one.
So go ahead, introduce yourself, tell a little bit about yourself, and then we'll find the questions there.
Yeah. So, my name is Juliana Anais Ramos Ortiz. So you guys remember the show Sweet Life of Zach and Cody? Esteban Della I feel like that's what I sound like whenever I say my full name. It is the most Hispanic name you could. But anyways, hence why I just go by Jules. I feel like it's so much easier for everyone. But I feel also like Karate Jules has just been thrown out here and there. Like I love when I walk into a place and people are like, "You Karate Jules?" I'm like, yeah. Like in my head, that is an appropriate name. But
That's actually how I saw you, because I saw you at the Battle of Atlanta. I think it was 2021?
21?
21, yeah,
21,
probably.
yeah. And I was like, I took it because you were doing a sidekick.
Oh,
and like,
I
look
love
at
that.
this chick in the hills over here. And I was like, look at that. And then I showed Jason, Mr. Croom's video over here, and he was like, hey, that's Karate Jules.
So there you go. The name Karate Jules follows you everywhere.
Love that. So yeah, actually, that is how we met. I just recently reposted that video, and you sent it to me again, and I was like, oh my gosh, the memes. Like that is when we. That is really small, big world to the martial arts is, which is it's beautiful. But I'm Puerto Rican, but I was born and raised in Miami, and then I lived in Orlando for a little bit, and then I moved to Knoxville. Then I was in Nashville, well, Franklin, south of Nashville, for a little bit, and then I moved to Cumming, Georgia. That's up north.
Yes.
And then now I just moved down more towards the city because of work. It's just makes a lot more sense.
Yes,
makes
and
sense.
work, we'll be asking you about that. But first, like, starting martial arts. What is
Yeah, how'd you get started?
your
Because
journey
that's
with
I
that?
know I'm interested. How'd you get started, and then how long have you been doing it?
For sure. Okay, so my parents are my instructors. So I was basically born on the mats. My parents had karate schools before me, and then when my dad found out that my mom was pregnant with me, they closed down the karate school because they wanted to spend as much time as they possibly could raising me. But obviously that didn't last very long. And also all my uncles had karate schools, so they knew that I would still have the martial arts in my life. But yeah, I was basically born on the mats. I started really taking classes when I was 3, and I've been in love ever since. But when I started when I was 3, I loved it. I have pictures in like doing like the scrimmage tournaments and like the bopper sparring and all that stuff and breaking boards with my parents. I love those memories. I can actually tap into those. Like I remember being
Wow,
super
goodness.
young, like 3 or 4, and like at the karate school doing it. That's how I know it's my passion.
Why
like
do you think that is? You remember those? Because I
Yeah,
don't
'cause
think many people
remembering that, wow,
remember.
that
I don't
is-
remember 3. What?
I think I was like, yeah, like I remember 4-year-old me at my uncle's karate school, Better Families Through Taekwondo, on Bird Road in Miami. And I remember what it smells like. I remember what it looks like. I remember seeing the lineup of the other kids, like getting ready to compete in our little like ring that was made out of blue painter's tape. But yeah, I started when I was 3, and I stopped when I was about 5 and a half. Kindergarten peer pressure.
Oh,
Yeah, all the girls were like,
Oh,
well,
that's-
karate's a boy's sport. You
right.
can't do karate. You have to do dance and gymnastics and cheerleading and softball and soccer and all these other things. But you can't do karate because that's a boy sport.
Oh,
And I was like, fair enough. I will stop. And so I tried every other sport in the book, and nothing ever clicked or filled my cup the way that martial arts did. So when I was 8 years old, my dad came up to me again, and he was like, hey, I'm going to open up another karate school again, and I'm going to go train at your uncle's karate school. if you want to come with me, you can. They never pushed me, which was beautiful. They didn't want me to get burnt out, or for me to do it for them. So my dad came up to me and he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to start training again. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Yes, please."
Like a little puppy.
For sure. I was like, I'm in. Take me. I can't do this dance stuff no more. I can't. I don't got no rhythm. I got 2 left feet, Dad. Take me back. And so I end up at my uncle's karate school, and I start training again. And it was magic. I remember my first day again as a white belt again. And I remember my dad giving me my first stripe, which was for a 3-count front kick. And I remember the stripe. I remember I got my yellow stripe and my blue stripe that same day. And it was just beautiful. And then from there, I did it nonstop ever since. I eat, live, breathed martial arts. I had gotten bit by the karate bug and I had karate fever, and that's all I wanted to do.
Wow,
It's
beautiful.
amazing. It's really amazing to see like someone choose something for their life and do that the whole time, despite somebody trying to take you another direction.
Oh,
you
for
stuck with it. So
And that doesn't just stop at kindergarten peer pressure. I feel like we get pulled in these different directions, like, hey, adulting, like, when are you gonna like pick a career? You know,
Yeah,
like,
true, like,
what are you gonna do for life, for
So
real?
career. When,
oh yeah, before we do that though, we actually had sisters that did martial arts too. So like it's run all through our family.
Yeah.
So like this is kind of similar to how you're like your family, our immediate family, all of them have black belts. So
Isn't that such a good feeling? Like,
Yeah.
I love saying, when people ask me, like, oh, like, how are your parents? Or, like, what are your parents like? I'm like, oh, they're black belts. They're my instructors. You know, like, I love growing up in that martial arts environment.
Oh, yeah.
It's beautiful.
yes, now back to the work you were about to say.
yeah, I was going to ask, you're talking about careers. So what, before, because you're known for a lot of things, what was the first thing you were thinking of, like, when you were younger, was you going to do for career?
So I actually remember being in like 5th grade. I grew up in a private school, and it was a very small Christian Baptist private school. And I remember in like 5th grade, 6th grade, being in the car with my mom and telling her, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to have a karate school like you and Dad have. And I'm going to have karate schools. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And she was like, well, you know, you're young. And you can say that now, and absolutely, we support it. Passion comes first. So, yeah. But also, there's time to change your mind, like if you do want to go to college. And I remember telling my dad, and he was like, yep. And if you change your mind and you do want to go to college, we're not going to be mad at you for it. But if you want to do this also, that's what we do this for. Like, my dad was very clear, like, everything that I build is to eventually give to you. So the fact that you say you want it means everything to me. And then he proceeded to basically kick me out of his karate school. And when I was like a purple belt, blue belt, he was like, and off you go to go train at your uncle's karate school, because he saw how passionate I was about the martial arts, that he didn't want me to get burnt out or to change my mind because, oh, I'm doing this for my parents. So when I was like purple blue belt, he like sent me off and like sent me to my uncle, Grandmaster Diego Perez, which I owe so much to and I hold so dear and close to me, and his wife. We called her Mrs. Master, but Master Mary Beth Clock Perez, and she was amazing, and they really took me under. And yeah, my dad just made sure, he was like, I'm building this for you, and she's really excited about it, so I'm gonna put you in their hands, so that way I am not a part of your burnout and you do want to continue to do this.
Dang, I
Wow.
wish our dad did that.
I know our dad.
Our dad was in the military, and he's like, drill sergeant. He's
You got to do this. You don't have a
do
choice.
this, do that. Yeah.
And in fact, the fact that what I'm hearing is very big and important for what your family did is support you the whole time, and they were realistic to you about it, and they cultivated exactly what you needed and what you wanted.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And the fact that your dad stopped to take you out of his school to make sure that's what you wanted, that's like, dang, your family
That's
is very
awareness right
conscious
there.
like that. How else are you going to have but to grow a great human being? So,
I'm so eternally grateful for them. And something actually like super personal is like they're such good parents. I almost feel unworthy of their love sometimes. They're so good to me. They're so good to everybody around me. They like just have always pushed like, hey, passion comes first. So whatever you're passionate about, like where there is passion, there is profit. So if you're passionate about that, pursue it. Like we're going to support you. If you have to come back home and live with us, like we're always going to be here. And like they're so good. And they give me my space, and then they're there when I need them. That like sometimes I do feel like, oh my goodness, what did I do to get like the greatest parents? Like they really are I hit the jackpot. Like I'm so fortunate to have landed in their arms. Yeah,
beautiful. I'm sure when they hear this, they're gonna cry. Their hearts
Yeah,
are
they
gonna
are.
melt.
I'm sure they will. Especially my mom. My mom is so sweet, and she cries for everything. I love it. It's where I get it from. I'll tear up too.
You see that, Mama?
So, can you talk a little bit about competition?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure you were training, and then you probably started. What was the next step? You teach and then competitions, or was it competitions? What was the steps you took?
Definitely. So as soon as I landed at my uncle's karate school, I was like, oh, competition team? What's that? That's so cool. They have black and white uniforms, and they've got like stripes and patches and all the cool stuff. I want to be like them. And so that was like one of the first things I did. I got in with the competition team. I started training, and then I started competing in a circuit in Florida called Kick USA. And I started there. That was run by Dave Scalar, and he was amazing. He really like saw me and like watched me grow and as a competitor, and he really pushed me to go on and do more with the competition stuff too. I remember I started competing. My first competition ever was in Cocoa Beach, and I got third place. And I was hooked. Like I was like, I want nothing else. I want to train competition. I want to do forms. I want to do all of it all the time. That's it. And then eventually, a few years after that, once I got around to black belt, I actually was in a really rough car accident that put a lot of injuries on my spine, and I was told that I was potentially not going to walk again. And then once they did like this really expensive MRI scan, I think it was like a 3D MRI or something like that, they saw that it wasn't broken like they thought it was, or like it was just like a chip or something like that. And so they said I could go to physical therapy, but I probably was never going to do martial arts again. And I went through this horrible depression. I remember being on the hospital bed looking at my mom, and I couldn't even get form full sentences. I was on what's that really strong
Morphine?
morphine. So I was on
Thought of another M1.
not that one. Jeez, I was in a hospital.
You never know. Drugs from somewhere.
So I was on morphine, that drug, and I remember looking over at my mom after they told me that I should get used to the thought of never doing martial arts again, and I would try to tell my mom I'm so sad, but I couldn't finish this sentence. I remember looking at my mom and saying and I would just break down, and then after that I did physical therapy for quite a bit. Luckily, physical therapy was right next to my uncle's karate school, so I ended up right back there after each physical therapy session. I would start to train little by little what I could. And I remember being asked, like, hey, are you going to consider competing again? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going hard. Like, I'm not going back to Kick USA, which was the local regional, like, Florida State tournament circuit. I was like, I'm going to start competing in NASCA, which is the North American Sport Karate Association, which is it's that league when it comes to sport karate. And so I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going hard. So I asked my parents like if they were willing to, and they were like, yeah, we will financially, mentally, physically, spiritually support you in any way that we can. If that's what your dream is, like, we're gonna make it happen. And so I started competing in NASCA, and very quickly climbed that ladder. I mean, I started, even though I had a really great form, the judges would put me finalist. Like, there was no way they would give me a good score. And then I just drilled at it. I stayed consistent, that consistency, until it was undeniable. It was like, okay, she's showing up and she's earned it.
She
So then I
doing that
finally
thing.
started to climb that ladder. That's why I say climb that ladder. NASCA is very good at weeding out who the champions are going to be. They do a very good job at being like, okay, who is consistently showing up? Like, this isn't a fluke. They didn't have a good showing. Like, this person is a champion through and through.
So it leads me to a question. When you were first, if you can go back, NASCA, your very first competition with them, what was going on in your mind? What was going on in your body? How were you feeling after you got the results? How did you respond? Like,
Because I can tell a quick story real quick. Like we actually ran track and made it all the way to the state track meet. I was in the last heat, so like the fastest of the fastest, running this 800. I remember we both were there. We were doing the warm up, getting the height.
oh yeah,
And the height, it was Gulf Shores, Alabama. Heard that gun go off. Bam. Last place. Dead last place. So, like, I just remember how humiliating that was, but also humbling it was. So, I don't know how it was for you when you did your first competition, but what was that like for you with NASCA?
So I was fortunate enough to grow up in Miami. So we had 2 NASCA tournaments a year that were in Florida that were very easily accessible since I was a child. So since I started competing, which was around like 10 years old. So I would go to Pan Am's and US Open every year religiously. And then as I started to get older, I started to go to Dixieland and Battle of Atlanta as well. So like we were just like staying in that southeast region. But when I started to do NASCA full on, like when I was like, okay, I'm chasing points, I'm going to do the full year, like the full season. That first one was at Battle of Atlanta, actually. Kind of comes full circle. That was always my favorite tournament. And now I live in Atlanta. I remember... I remember being nervous, but I don't think I had a lot of pressure on myself. I knew that my goal after my injuries was to just show up. Just show up for myself so that I could prove to myself, like, it doesn't matter what the doctors said or what those limitations that I thought at one point, like, here I am showing up doing something that I always wanted to do, but I didn't think I was going to do. And because I was given a second chance after that car accident, like, I didn't have a ton of pressure. I just wanted to show up. So obviously I was nervous. I shake when I'm nervous. So I remember shaking. My mom would make sure I had snacks and always have water and iron my uniform so everything was pleated and nice. And I was just ready. I was excited. I think more than anything, I was excited. I remember like the direction of the ring and everything and stepping off of it and looking at my mom and being like, I did that. Like I didn't fumble. I didn't lose my balance on my stances. Like I did that. And it didn't matter what the score was. I think I got like maybe 5th, 6th, 7th place, something like that, one of the finalists. And like coming out and being like, I wasn't last. That's what's
big.
up.
Yeah, that's big.
That's what's up. You know, shut up. I like thought I had a broken back. Thought I was never gonna compete. Thought I was never gonna walk. Thought I was never gonna do what I love to do most. And here I am, not last.
There it is right there. There it goes.
it's crazy because I was going to ask you, because I saw you were holding back tears earlier when you were talking about you trying to form that sentence to your mom. Like, what did that feel like? Because I feel like there's people that's been in that position and don't know how to get out of that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a dark hole.
As far as you,
No, I'm an open book. I feel totally happy to talk about it, and hopefully my experience can help someone through theirs. But it really just felt helpless. Like there was no point in anything. There wasn't a point in me getting better because I still wasn't going to be able to do what I wanted to do. It didn't feel like, it didn't feel real almost. Like I remember thinking like, when am I going to wake up? When am I going to wake up? This is a bad dream. When am I going to wake up? And I remember looking at my mom and looking at the board because they had me getting ready to go into spine surgery, into whatever it was that they were going to do on my back. And so the note on the board said, not a drop of water, not a crumb of food, like no food, no drink. Because I was really hungry and I couldn't have anything for 3 days to prepare me to go into surgery. And I remember like somebody walking by with Subway, or my mom had like come back in from eating, and I remember thinking like, wow, I can't even eat, I can't drink water, I'm not going to be able to do martial arts. Like, it felt like nothing. But I remember just thinking like, okay, I just have to do whatever is next. So what's next? I have to wait for the doctors to come in. Okay, I need to wait for surgery. What if surgery goes well and I can do martial arts again? Or what if they're wrong? What if I can't? So it was always just that like, okay, get to that next step and then we'll figure it out. Get to the next step. Just take that next step and we'll figure it out. Take that next breath. All I need to work on is getting to that next breath, and then I'll figure it out. I remember starting to get like an anxiety attack because I was thinking about like what was going to happen in the future, but I was like, why am I worried about something that might not ever be an actual issue? So kind of just bringing myself back to like, okay, we'll deal with it when it comes. What's next? And then as we kept progressing and things kept getting better and physical therapy was going well and I saw progress, it was like, okay, I can do this. Okay, maybe I'm not going to be able to trick or do any of the flips, but I can do this. Or what if, oh my God, I have a love for traditional forms. Like XMA is what's popping and that's what everybody wants to do, but I think I really love trad. Like I really love trad sword, or I really love trad forms. So like just dealing with things as they came and not worrying about like what was coming up in the future, what I could or couldn't do in the future.
Beautiful.
That's really big.
Finding that system where you felt like there wasn't one, and it's something unprecedented that you experienced, and you're like, what do I do here? So,
And I have to say, something so small being what has created the large. Like, so what I mean by that is
Sure.
you just started with just the next step. To climb a mountain, you have to just take the next step. And you conquered that mountain getting to where you need to. And I guess we can move on to what are some other mountains that you have conquered
Thanks.
or are looking to
or
conquer.
conquering now. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like mountains that I've had to conquer that involve the martial arts is being and finding my feminine in the martial arts. I feel like that's always been, I've always been in a man's world. Even in the current world that I am now, the career that I am in now.
Which is?
Yeah, what is that career?
It's the action industry. So we're talking stunts, the film industry, but the stunt side. So
How long you been doing that? Like, when did you start? How long you been doing it?
What inspired you to
piqued
get
your interest?
started?
Because you were
Yeah.
doing competitions, and of course, I know how that can help. But like, what led into it?
So crazy. Funny enough, I remember being in high school, I believe ninth grade. I've always been a goals person. So like I always have really big goals and then I work backwards from there. I'll have like this massive goal and then I'll be like, all right, what do I need to do that are also massive
Reverse
goals to get there?
engineering.
Yeah. And then I'll break down each one of those even too big goals into smaller little goals and then find the steps to achieve them. So I remember being in high school, ninth grade, musical theater, and being like, oh my God, I love this. And I had a phenomenal musical theater teacher, Arielis Arca, and she was phenomenal. And she really helped me find like places or like spots for me that involved like physical things. So like jumping rope and like singing and dancing and acting, playing Brooke Wyndham in Legally Blonde, the musical. So, like, finding a way to incorporate, like, those athletic things with, in the entertainment industry. And so, after being super involved in theater, I still had a love for the martial arts. And I got in the car one time with my dad, and I told him, I was like, well, what if, going back on my word, I don't open up a karate school with a curriculum per se? What if I go to college and I get a BFA in acting and drama, and then I open up a warehouse style karate school like yours, but we blend like martial arts and the athletic stuff with like theater and acting. And obviously I hadn't like put it together that is stunts, but in my head I was like, what if we blend the two? That's so innovative.
No, that's great. And what's your stories remind me of is that if you keep seeking, you're going to find that gap that you fill. You're going to find where you fit into whatever it is, no matter what's happened to you. So, like, imagine all the people that just stopped whatever they're doing.
And talking about fitting in, have you ever had issues
Yeah, I wanted to,
trying to fit in just wherever you are in your life?
And I wanted
People
to,
with entertainment industry, even with other martial artists. Like,
as a woman in the industry too, because, I know that by itself, and I have more questions with that, but like, what are...
Yeah. So, definitely fitting in has never been an issue that I find to be an issue because I've never wanted to fit in. I always go out of my way to be unique. I go out of my way to do things different, to go against the grain, to try and change the status quo. I really have always wanted to be unique. So like fitting in has never been an issue. So for example, I had purple hair for like 10, 12 years. I had purple hair because everybody else has normal hair color. So
stand
how
out.
do I stand out? But also reverting back to answering like that female in the martial arts is like, there's not much I get to control being a female in the martial arts. I'm in a room full of men. We're all in the same baggy geese, and we all kind of just are fitting in. Like, we're all one and the same in there. But, like, I still want to be female and feminine, and so I would do, like, when I was a kid, I would do glitter eyeliner. I would control the things that I could control. I can't change what I'm wearing. I can't change the form that I'm doing. I can't change what a kick is. But the things that I can control are the colors of my toenails. I can change my nails. I can dye my hair. I can wear a bow. I can wear big, bright bows to karate class. Where glitter eyeliner. However, I could be different. That's what I wanted. So I feel like in my whole life, fitting in has not really been an issue because I've never wanted to fit in.
That is great.
Incredible answer there.
Yeah, and I hope that
planned
helps
it.
with all the...
Whoever's writing my script, good job, script. That's great
Feeding
stuff. They're
whoever's-
loving it.
Whoever's in your ear right now.
They're loving it. They're eating it up.
No, that's great because I hope that helps inspire some young ladies, women, to be able to express themselves in the ways that they can control. Because, like you said, you're finding femininity. Like, where can you find that? And it's a balance that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Like, so find what you can control, change those things, and that's how you can express yourself. Is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So wrapping up here, just ask a couple more questions, whatever you think of, and then if you have any random questions.
I had this question that I thought that I had. Okay, so I want to like kind of see where your mind was when you first. Okay, let's say your first competition to whatever the last project is that you did. What was your mindset?
Project or competition?
Project or competition? Because it's kind of a two-part question. Let's say the first part. What are things that are the same and different when it comes to competition and acting stunts?
Okay. So something that I've learned that both on that level, that high level of athleticism require is you have to be nervous. When you stop feeling nerves, when you stop feeling that little bit of anxiousness, that's when you get hurt, or that's when things, that's when you stop being that high level athlete. You need that adrenaline that runs through you before you compete. That little nervous the night before where you can't sleep, or you don't want to eat breakfast the day of, and getting ringside and seeing everybody line up, and it's like, oh my God, okay, we're here, is the same respect that you have when you're doing a gag or a stunt on set. Or sometimes we know what the task is, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes I'll get a text that says, hey, are you available to work these days? And I'm like, yep. And then I show up to set with the big bag because I don't know what I'm doing that day. And then it could be something as simple as like, you're running over there. Or I get there and they're like, put on your harness. You're getting thrown through that glass table or through that glass window, or you're going to hit the ground here and then they're going to pick you up and they're going to throw you over there. You don't know. So having that little bit of nerves is the level of respect that you show to what it is that you're doing. Because when you don't approach some of these gags, you show up to do a car hit for work and you kind of are just like, if you don't feel any nerves, you lose that respect for what
You get a little
it
too
is.
comfortable.
Yeah, you get a little too comfortable, and that's when, injuries or setbacks, or you don't perform as well. You need that little oomph in there. You need the adrenaline. So when I first started competing, always had baseline nerves, but nothing too crazy. I was never the one to like be throwing up before competition. And then same thing now. Like, I'll show up. I'm excited for work. I know what the gag is. All right, let's get ready. Let's do it. I know what to do. I know my body awareness, but
So where do you get all this
still.
confidence from?
I feel like it comes from keeping promises to myself. Like, I promise you are not going to get hurt on this. Why? Because you know how to fall. Okay, cool. I'm happy to throw this. I'm confident to throw this wreck, or I'm happy to take this fall because I have kept enough promises to myself. I've said, you're not going to get hurt. You know how to fall. I've practiced my break falls a million times.
Oh, so training makes it different?
Oh, wait, training?
Oh,
Wait,
what?
training.
Yeah.
Wait, what was
I
that
didn't
word
want to
again?
say that. Hold on. Hold on. You're taking it too far.
Sorry.
Training has nothing to do with this.
No, it doesn't?
I don't train, ever.
Oh.
Never. Don't train.
That's the secret.
Don't train, guys. I'm kidding. Absolutely. Training is key. Training and like keeping promises to yourself, I feel like are the best way. So I promise I'm going to show up for myself, or like hey, tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. you're going to go to the gym, whether you're tired, whether you like it or not. And then that's the inner voice that I'm having, that inner monologue. And then I keep that promise to myself and I'm like, oh, I could do this on any given day because I've already done it. I already proved to myself that I could do it. Showing up for myself and constantly proving to myself that I can do whatever I say I can do, or I tell myself I can do, even if there's prior steps or training that comes along to earn that promise. When I keep it, that like skyrockets my confidence. For sure.
There you go,
Awesome.
guys.
Last question.
Keep
I
promises
have.
to yourself. That's all I gotta say.
Promises, yes. Last question, and then we'll finish up. If you were to solve a problem in the world, or issue in the world, and you had that mission, that personal mission, what is that? What would you say that is?
So when I was in college, I read Strengths Finders 2.0 by Gallup, and I remember writing my personal mission, vision statement, and the one sentence, the one-liner for my life is, I exist to inspire. So I think that lead by example is what I grew up hearing through Junri Taekwondo in his curriculum. And so that's kind of what I've lived by, is I want to lead by example and I exist to inspire. So I want to do the things that make other people say, well, if she can do it, then I can do it. Or, hey, like, she went through that and she made it out. So anytime that I've gone through something really horrible. Even at my lowest lows, even in my deepest and darkest holes, I will sit there and like the thing that goes through my head is, well, if I don't go through this now, how am I going to help somebody that comes up to me and asks me how to go through this similar situation? So I feel like everything that I go through, I acquire skills or knowledge or wisdom that eventually I can inspire somebody else to get through it as well. So I feel like if we all lived to lead by example or to acquire something that we could eventually give to others and help in turn make their life better, I feel like we have a better place to live. I feel like it's not to be selfish. We should be self-centered, not selfish. So we think about how we can be better for ourselves and how we can do things to grow ourselves to then be selfless and be more for others. So
Be able to
living
fill your cup up to fill others up.
100%. You can't fill other people's cup if your cup is empty. And sometimes rest is productive. There's somebody really important in my life. Yeah, I know. I just recently started to learn about that, but there's somebody really important in my life that reminds me a lot of the moon, and I think one of the most valuable things that they taught me was that we go through phases of emptiness to feel full again, and that's okay. And that as long as we ride the waves and we show up for ourselves, like we really get in tune with ourselves, we can sit there in bed. At the end of the day, it's just you and the universe, and whatever you did that day, you're growing, you're going somewhere. And so it all adds up. And as long as we have that, hey, one day I can give back because of what I've been through, or we lead or live by example, I think that this world would be a better place.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
And
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you again for
No, thank you for
showing up
having me.
here. We're super excited.
Oh, I wanted to say this. We actually had a friend that we grew up with in Alabama. Her name is Juliana.
Yeah, Julian, we used to hang out with her after school just randomly. Like,
So it's cool to be able to interview
Meet
you.
another
Yeah.
Juliana. What's up, Juliana? Nice to meet you. I'm Juliana.
yeah,
There's
so
Juliana, Jules,
Yeah.
Karate Jules,
Calvin,
Kevin.
and this has been Martial Art Mindset. Make sure you subscribe to and check out the next and look at the rest.
Is there anything that people can find you on, or like
Tag
or things you want to
Yeah,
share?
absolutely. You can find me on Instagram at karate.jules. Same thing for TikTok, karate.jules. I should probably post more on YouTube, but I'm on there too. And I'm pretty sure it's.
I mean, you just hit
karate.jules.
100K.
Oh yeah, you did just hit 100K.
I
Congrats.
Oh, yeah,
thank
congrats.
you.
Oh, hit the. You got the claps on here.
Oh, that was the wrong one.
You can't hear it, but yeah, he's got claps on here.
He's applauding in the
yeah.
background.
But yes, 100K, that is massive. I mean, I feel like I celebrate goals before I get to them, so I can already have another big goal set by the time that I reach that goal. So I typically celebrate at 90%, and then by the time that I get to 100% of a goal, I'm already like
To the next
on my
one.
way to the next one.
That's manifestation powers right there.
Right,
90% celebrate.
I read that in a book. I wish I could tell you which book it was from. It's not my own innovative idea. It is. I read a lot, and I
That's how you build that mindset, right?
yeah. If I can recommend a book that really like changed my mind, Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. I've read that book like 4 times now. It's like I read it and I learn something new every time. But definitely, I was not expecting to be near 100K, but when that became my goal and I hit 90%, I was at 90K. I was like, oh my God,
Right
that's, oh my,
That consistency.
100,000
Making all that content,
and
doing all
it's
that stuff.
so
like,
much more work
exhausting.
than
Like,
anybody
all it-
ever thinks it is. Hours of
and how much you
creating.
get paid for?
It's totally different. Every month is different. But there's some really good months, and then there's months where it's like, well, it's a good thing this is not my only source of
Yeah.
income.
Yeah.
Woo! That's a whole
So
other thing.
yeah.
whole nother thing.
But definitely, I celebrated. I'm so grateful that you guys brought it back up because, again, if you are one of my 100K, thank you so much. Your support means everything to me. I promise it is there and I feel it and I love you guys. But yeah, I'm ready. On to the next. Let's go.
On to the
Woo.
next.
Until next, so 200K.
1 mil.
I was
mil.
gonna say,
2 mil,
I
2.5.
feel like 200K is like too soon. I need
Oh,
a
too
bigger
soon?
goal. So like 500K,
500K.
and then a mil. You
Y'all
know?
hear that,
Like,
y'all? 500K. And then we'll get to the mill, or she'll get to
go.
the mill.
A million. All right, y'all. I'm sure we could talk for a long time.
Oh, for
Maybe
sure.
Oh, you know what? We
do it
didn't do
another time.
mind, body, spirit.
Oh,
We gotta do that.
so we do this mantra.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can just follow along, it's,
100%.
mind, body, spirit is what our mantra is, and then
Just
you want
repeat
to
some
lead it.
words. Yeah, I'll lead it.
Well, he'll lead, and
All
then
right.
we'll just repeat after him.
All right. Mind,
Mind,
body,
body,
spirit.
spirit.
I use my mind to think.
I use my mind to think.
I use my body to move.
I use my body to move.
And I use my spirit to spread love.
And I use my spirit to spread love. Thank you all for being here and our love of martial arts and her love of martial arts.
Thanks. I want to do the mantra. I didn't know when I was supposed
Oh, we
to
were
let
like, let's go.
in.
Okay,
Let's
all right.
do
All
it
right, cool. So
again.
we'll all do it together. Here we go.
Rewind.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mind,
Mind.
Mind. Oh, sorry. Okay, hold on. Together. You got it. I didn't know how much was after that first. You right.
Oh, yeah,
You right.
yeah,
It's all good. Just what it
mind,
Mind.
body,
Body.
spirit.
Spirit.
I use my mind to think.
I use my mind to think.
I use my body to move.
I use my body to move.
And I use my spirit to spread love.
And I use my spirit to spread love. Thank you all.
Yeah.
We did it.
Peace. Did it. It's clapping right now.
Yeah.